I'm here at Doctor's Express with Dr. Latimer, welcome, to talk about being sick in the summer. So why is being sick normally associated with wintertime?
In the wintertime, we're in much close quarters, and so most infections like colds or upper chest infections are transmitted through sneezing, coughing, touching faucets or keyboards where someone just sneezed or coughed. And so it's much more common when you're in closer quarters to transmit the infections. There's also some infections that are more prevalent at different times of year.
Can people get strep throat in the summer?
They absolutely can get strep throat. It's much more common in the winter, but it's still feasible. We see at Doctor's Express a drop-off in the summer months with people getting strep throat. We see a lot of it, obviously, when the kids go back to school, and we see a lot of it through the winter.
And what about a cold? Can you get a cold in the summer?
You can, but they seem to be less common in the summer. You could get colds year-round. Also, with the fact that we have such a global society, people travel all over the world, and there's different climates and different viruses that they can bring back with them and get ill with.
Is there anything more prevalent during the summer months?
Several things are more prevalent. There's a classification of viruses called enteroviruses that kids tend to get, and it's like a stomach flu with a little bit of a cold attached to it, and those tend to be more prevalent in the summer.
And what about the flu? Can you get the flu in the summer?
Very good question. Flu season is really October through March, at least in North America. I've certainly had people present with flu in the summer months if they've been traveling internationally from the Middle East or from Asia, but it's extremely rare. We don't really even put it on our radar screen except for October through March.
How long does a flu shot last?
Very good question. So the flu shot is developed with an anticipation of what the major strains are going to be, and it's usually ready by August, September. The problem is, sometimes by the time flu season rolls around, at least to North America, the strains have changed enough that the flu shot may or may not work. While it's still absolutely worth getting the flu shot, given how sick people can get and even how many deaths are associated with it, there are some years where it's more accurate than others.
And can you treat the flu with antibiotics?
You cannot treat the flu with antibiotics. The flu is a virus. It's a very aggressive virus. And viruses are not killed by antibiotics. Occasionally you'll see people with the flu taking antibiotics for secondary complications. The flu is very aggressive. It can affect the lungs very aggressively, so people are more prone to developing pneumonia as a secondary complication of the flu. So at that point in time, antibiotics are appropriate. Sinus infections also occur as a secondary complication of the flu, and so antibiotics are sometimes appropriate in that setting as well. But in general, the flu itself cannot be treated with antibiotics.
What are some ways to protect yourself against these viruses throughout the summer?
Very good question. So obviously hand washing is important for if you have one of these illnesses, covering your mouth when you cough, covering your nose when you sneeze. Just the basic hygiene rules apply both in the summer and the winter. Those are really important. One of the reasons why colds are so contagious is sometimes you're actually giving off the virus before you show major symptoms. But in general, once you know you're sick, you want to be very careful with hand washing.
Of course. Well, thank you, Dr. Latimer. It was great to have you here again at
Thank
Doctor's
you.
Express.